Well, welcome to Letters to You. We are going to write letters today from aspects of ourselves. And you might be saying, that sounds interesting, but I'm not really sure why this would be a good thing to do. And I want to just give you a little bit of context that there is a type of self awareness and self knowledge work that I do personally, and that I also use in my coaching work, where we get the different parts of ourselves, and we all know that we have different parts of ourselves. We get them to start to talk to each other and to start to create more understanding and hopefully to create a better relationship with these different parts so that we can be allies rather than feeling like we have enemies inside and parts of us who are getting in the way of us doing what we want to do. So, this is a step along that process of getting to know these different parts of ourselves. And today, we're going to imagine that we have a dysfunctional family inside our head.
I
Anybody
don't need
got
to
that?
imagine that.
But first, we're going to introduce ourselves. And I have a story. I love to tell stories. So I was down in the desert, and the landscape maintenance guy came. And so I was just walking around with him and learning about the plants down there because they're very different. And in this house where we were staying, there was a little vegetable garden that somebody had planted over at the side. And there was tomatoes there. And I'm like, that's so cool. And then he's like, oh, but there's an infestation. And there were these green worms that were, like longer than my finger. They were 5 to 6 inches long and this big around with lots of little feet. And they were eating stuff. And that kind of stuff just gives me the willies, right? So I would like you to introduce yourself and tell us something that gives you the willies. So my name is Karen Randall, and big green worms that eat vegetables give me the willies. Who would like to go next?
I will go.
Okay.
I'm Tracy, and this is this is ever since the Northridge earthquake. Um, Driving over bridges gives me
Oh,
the willies. Like
yeah.
I try to get across the bridge, any like the ship canal, as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I, I can understand that. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Marcel, what about you?
So this is kind of weird. Hey everyone, I'm Marcel. And the thing that gives me the willies is when people's personal hygiene does not include a nice Q-tip to their ear. And I tend to notice, and because I'm Hallmark, I never want to say anything. But I have a particular family member who will remain nameless because we're on a recording, but I often just want to get in there and help them out.
Oh my goodness. That is so interesting. Yeah. Yeah, those
Willie,
things that make it really challenging, right? To
right?
be in relationship with someone because you can't not see that, right?
Right.
So we have Lynette here. Hi, Lynette.
Hi there. I'm so sorry I don't have video, but it's just not working.
We are introducing ourselves by sharing something that gives us the willies.
Oh, well, I would say any spider over the size of a nickel. I'm out.
Yeah.
Very
I'm out,
specific.
baby. I'm out.
Oh yeah, I'm with you all the way on that one. No, no spiders. Nope, nope. Okay, well, now we know just a little bit more about something that, we call it the willies, but that's actually a fear that we have, which is so perfect because we're going to be jumping into that in just a minute. We are going to imagine, as I said, that we have a family living inside of us, but it often is a dysfunctional family. And I think we all can say, yeah, know what that's about. Met a lot of those family members over the past year during COVID and quarantining, right? Many of them were triggered at times. Um, but one of our family members has gone out and done a lot of work, a lot of self improvement work. She has done coaching and therapy, and she's read a lot of books, and she's listened to podcasts and TED Talks, and she would have gone on retreats if she could have the past year. But she did all of this in order to be able to listen respectfully and compassionately and kindly to other members of her dysfunctional family. And so today, she is going to invite a few members in and ask them to share some of their stories, some of their way of being in the world. And our job as this evolved person is to listen, and to listen compassionately and kindly and respectfully, and to not answer back with any buts or if then or you should or you shouldn't. None of that. We're just listening. Okay. And we're going to invite this part in a very kind way, just inviting them into a safe space where they will be heard and they will not be laughed at or made fun of in any way, right? So you are the enlightened one, and you have invited this other part in. And all you're going to do is listen, right? And so this letter is going to be, it's going to be just plain writing, right? It's not going to be fancy writing. It's kind of like, if you see a model walking, there's the model walk, right? Whew. And then there's just the plain walk. You go out for a walk and you're just walking. So this is not model walk writing. This is just plain walk writing, okay? Don't have to worry about paragraphs or capitals or anything else you don't want to. And this letter is going to start like this. And I have my handy dandy paper to show you that says, dear, and I put Karen up here in parentheses. You want to put your own name, not Karen. So write this to yourself. I am your fear. And I want to tell you, I am afraid of, or it scares me when, or I'm afraid if, or I'm afraid that. So this is just your fear talking about all of the things that you're afraid of that give you the willies, whatever it is. And as far as I'm concerned, every single sentence in this letter can start with, I'm afraid of, or I'm afraid that. It can just be a long list of all of those things. And we're just going to listen. And we're going to write for about 5 minutes, and then I'll let you know, give you a little bit of heads up that we're almost done. And then we'll talk a little bit more after that. So inviting your fear in, listening to her kindly, compassionately, respectfully, and just letting her talk to you. Okay, let's take about 30 more seconds to wrap it up. And as we wrap it up, I'm going to bring my handy dandy prop, high level, super duper prop. We're going to sign this letter sincerely, your fear. So a question, and Lynette, you can unmute yourself and you can just answer without raising your hand. So how many of you were finished with your list, with your letter before I said that time was up? And this is important. This is a really important point because often our fear feels like it is bottomless. And especially in those times, I mean, if we think back to when we started quarantining and how it was so scary to even go to the grocery store, right? There was just a bottomless pit of fear. And yet, when we actually allow it to have a voice and we start to listen to it, we find out that there isn't an end to it. There is a bottom to it. It's not bottomless. And we can kind of start to wrap our arms around it and say, okay, this is what we're dealing with. We've got a picture of it now. Now we can work with it. And another important thing to understand about fear is that if you feel into one of these situations when you feel fearful, and just kind of remember back or think one of them, you'll realize that this is like the youngest part of yourself. This part that is the fearful part is very vulnerable, it's very young. And when we're feeling fearful, often it's like we want some, grand mommy or granddaddy to step in and hug us and say, it's going to be okay. I got this. I'll take care of it for you. Right. Because this is our young part inside. And we just are so afraid. And this young part feels like they are responsible for keeping you safe. But they're young, so they don't have the skills to do it. So along with a part of you that is very young and vulnerable and fearful, you also have inside of you a grown-ass adult who can say to this young part, I hear you and I've got this. I've got it. You're young. I'm an adult. I can handle this. I hear what you're saying, and you can relax a little bit and you can rely on me to take care of this because I've got you. And here's the really important next step. And that's that if you tell this inner child, this young part of you, that your grown ass adult is going to handle things, then you got to do it. You got to follow through and take care of this young part of you. Right? Because that's what's going to help them to become less fearful. And that's what is going to allow you to be able to create more relationship with different parts of yourself. Okay, great. I had a big yes from Lynette there. That's right, thank you. Okay, let's just shake our arms a little bit, shake your hands out. Whew. That fear part can get to be big and heavy. So we're going to wrap a blanket around the fear. We're going to sit them over on the couch, let them lay down, maybe watch a TV show. And we're going to move on to another part of ourselves. And we're going to write a letter to our enchantment. You can use the word magic. You can use the word joy. You can use the word light, your light, let your light out. But just what is enchantment? I mean, when you think about that word, when I think about it, it kind of makes me think of a fairy tale, with a a castle, like the Disney logo, right? That has the Snow White castle with a cloud around it, and it's a little shimmery and a little dreamy kind of thing. So enchantment does have that feeling of magic, of altered state a little bit, right? An altered state. And it has light in it. That is part of it, right? When you think of enchantment, of feeling that way, there is this idea that there is your light that is shining out because there's so much of this joy and enchantment and delight that you are experiencing. And if you think about, like a little kid, a 2-year-old playing with a toilet roll, right? They're just entranced with it. Just, the simplest things, or when they blow bubbles and it's like, bubbles, they just shine out with this, and everything is that way for them, unless it's like the opposite. there's no intermediary, but it's enchanting. It fills them, right? It fills them up with energy and delight. So I want you just to take a few moments right now and see if you can tap in to one of those experiences in your life. Just a time in your life where you had true enchantment. I had an experience when I went to a 10-day silent meditation retreat, and it was 75. It was in May, about this time of the year, actually. And it was absolutely perfect. And at one point, I found this wooden raised pallet on the ground, and it was underneath a flowering cherry tree. And I laid down on it, and I was looking up through the branches, and there was dappled sunlight coming through the branches. And then a slight breeze came up, and the petals were just floating away. They were white petals tinged with pink. I mean, it was just like so amazing, and so amazing for me that I had taken that time to be there and experience that. And that's a key part of enchantment, right? That we slow down to really allow the delight of something, the experience of something to fill us with that amazing energy of delight and enchantment and joy and light. I also like to do things like jump on the trampoline with my grandkids. It's just so fun. And it makes me laugh that at this point in my life, I'm jumping on a trampoline with my grandkids. Hopefully I don't like break anything at some point, but I don't think I will. We're just having fun. There's so many things like that. And that's what we're going to be writing this letter about. So this letter is from your enchantment. And here again is my handy dandy prop number 2. So this letter is Dear You, put your name in there. Mine, it says Karen, but yours would have your name. I am your enchantment, and you can use the word that means the most to you, your magic, your joy, your delight, whatever it is. And I want to tell you, I love to, or I love when, or it lights me up when. All of the ways that you can be enchanted. Now, this is sometimes a pretty challenging thing for people to figure out because we don't honestly spend a lot of time in this part of ourselves. And so if you get stuck, you can ask your enchantment what they don't like to do. What do they hate to do? And that's going to help you to then start to ferret out what it is that they love to do. Another thing that you can say is, the last time we were together was when, and let them tell you when that was. Okay? So we're going to have 5 minutes, And again, I will let you know when you have a few seconds left, 30 seconds left. Dear Karen, I'm your enchantment, and I want to tell you I love to, or I love when, or I light up when. Another idea that can be helpful is to just think of something very small and specific. So, the more specific you can be, the more it's going to help you to get into that understanding of what your enchantment loves. Okay, about 30 more seconds. Wrapping up your letter to your enchantment. And like the last one, you will sign it sincerely, your enchantment. Okay. I love that I see two of you still writing. That makes me very happy that you've been able to tap into your enchantment. So I want you to take just a feeling moment right now and compare how you feel after writing this letter to how you felt after writing the letter to your from your fear, right? You can just feel the energetic, muscular, emotional difference. Yeah, lighter. All of that changes, right? When we focus on those things that lighten us up, right? Our enchantments. So I have a couple questions. Um, who has anything on their list that has to do with nature or water or animals? Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes. Um, and here's another question. Do you need to be a millionaire to do any of these things on your list? Marcel is sharing that bubble wrap made the list. I love that. Lynette is kind of smiley. That's good. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love popping bubble wrap bubbles? That is amazing. Yeah, so these, my fear letter was pretty light, which was a surprise. Yeah, a little bit of a surprise this time. So what I think that that means is that it's waking up what in the type of psychology I practice is called your impulse desire function, which is something that as women in our culture, we are often not taught how to use that function, right? It's a psychological function. So, at any moment in time, what is it I want to do right now? What do I want? And that doesn't mean you have to do it. It just means waking up that knowing of in any second, at any point in time, there is something that I would like, but I need to access that. What is that? And so it helps you to wake that up, to be able to listen to it more, to access that more easily. So for some people, I say, okay, 10 times a day, just ask yourself, what do I want to do in this moment? Doesn't mean you're going to do it. It just means that you're waking it up and it's a practice. Okay. Um, what if, and I listened to a podcast about this today too. This is coming from um, different people now. What if this list, this all of these things that enchant you, that give you delight, that deepen your experience of living in that way. What if this is your purpose? What if you were created to experience that? Because if you think about it, when you're experiencing those things that give you this deepest joy in life, you shine, right? You shine. And when you do that, you are healing the world. You invite anyone you come in contact with to do the same thing, to light up the light, to live in this deeper way of joy and enchantment and appreciation and gratitude for all of these wondrous little things that are so small, so easy. They're just part of our life. They don't cost money. We just found that out, right? These are the things that we have access to all the time. And we know that they light us up. And what if that's what we were put here to do? To experience those things. And by doing that, to invite others to do the same thing and to bring joy to all of us through that, right? It's something to consider. Our fears are always pretty general. Like we all have kind of the same ones, right? We have um, financial, safety, love. They kind of will fall into one of those three. But our enchantments are specific. They're very, very, tailored just for you individually. And and so it's like this is the divine experiencing joy in another way, right? A way that was tailored just for you. So consider, is this my purpose? Do I need to do this more so that I can live a more joyful, more fulfilled, more enlightened life that gives that to everyone I come in contact with? Okay, great. So our next letter that we're going to write, we said that the last ones we weren't doing model walking, we were doing normal walking, but this next one might be a little more like model walking writing. It's a little more formal because this is a very official permission slip. And it's not only a permission slip, it's a permission slip from the principle of the universe. So it is a very official permission slip. A lot of times I have noticed that in my coaching, what I'm doing is giving people permission to think outside the box and then to do things that are outside of what they normally think they should do. And so what we're doing in this permission slip is giving ourselves permission, first off, for those things in the enchantment letter, but also all of those shoulds that we live by that have some kind of moral, underpinning that came from our family of origin or, all sorts of schools, churches, media, all these subliminal shoulds that we're trying to live up to. We're giving ourselves permission to say baloney. We're going to do those things that we know give us joy and that we know are our purpose and allow us to bring more enchantment into the world, right? So sometimes we have these messages that get in the way with us being able to do those things. So we're going right to the top, and we're getting permission from the principle of the universe to do the things that we know are going to bring the most joy, enchantment into our lives and into the world. So this permission starts out with a logo at the top. Again, here is my very, very technically perfect prop. From the office of the principle of the universe. And this is addressed to whom it may concern. And we do that because you might want to present this to anyone who tries to give you any kind of guff about doing something that you want to do. It's like, look, I've got a permission slip from the principle of the universe. It's right here. I can do what I want to do. Get out of the way. Okay. And then this letter starts out, your name, my name, Karen Randall, has my permission to. And the first place you're going to want to look is probably your enchantment letter. You know, those things, some of those things that give you enchantment. What is it that you need permission for so that you can do them? What gets in the way of your doing them? And then thinking about the shoulds. What are the shoulds that get in the way? The shoulds or the should nots? And if you get stuck, go back to your enchantment. Ask your enchantment what makes you happy and what you need permission for. And again, we're being really specific here. Okay, just to give you a few ideas, keep writing, but here are some things that I have written in a permission slip at one time. Karen Randall has my permission to write Christmas cards or to never write Christmas cards again the rest of my life. To never wear nylons again. To have OCD about a clean kitchen sink. To start every day with yoga because it makes my body feel good, or to not do yoga on a day when I don't feel like it. To buy expensive, fun glasses frames because they make me happy. Very specific, not general. A good one sometimes is to be inconsistent, to be wrong, to change my mind, to trust or to not trust. And to not apologize. Okay, let's start to wrap this one up. And again, this is a very official letter, so it needs to be officially signed. And these permissions are non-negotiable and non-transferable. And it's signed sincerely, the office of the principal of the universe. These permissions are non-negotiable and non-transferable. Sincerely, the office of the principal of the universe. Okay. I'm just going to throw out some thoughts. And if you are done, great. And if you are still writing, great. Wonderful. This is an important thing to do because this is learning how to be friendly to yourself, right? This is learning how to be your own best friend. You know, if you think about your best friend and you call them up and you say, yeah, I'm having a rough day. And they're like, oh, let's go get pedicures. Or, they have all of these ideas of things that they can do for you or you can do together to help you. But this is you doing that for yourself. This is being your own best friend, your boo, right? You're being your best buddy. um, you can start easily by looking at your enchantment list and saying, I know how to make myself happy, right? I know how to do that. What's getting in the way? Oh, let me go to my permission slip and see that I have the permission to do that. And not only do I have the permission to do that, I am my best friend. I want to make myself happy and I know how to do it. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that as often as I need it. I'm going to do those things that I know are going to help me to shine my light brighter. And there's one other really, really important part of this, and that is that if you go back to the fear list and you look at one of your fears and you think, oh, yeah, that's still there. I remember a day when I felt like that. And then you go and you look at your enchantment list and you're like, oh, I love doing that. And you realize that the enchantments are more powerful than the fears, right? You can choose to end your fear with those enchantments. They cannot coexist. They can't be both in yourself at the same time. If you have something that truly enchants you, you're going to do that. Your fear is going to be gone. It might come back. And so then you find another one because you have permission to do a lot of things, right? So you have a way and a tool that you can use all of these parts of yourselves to help yourself, right? To be your own best friend, to be your boo, to make yourself happy, to work with those fears of that young part, and to say, I have an adult in here, and this adult is going to take care of you. And I'm going to help this adult to take care of you by keeping her happy, by keeping her enchanted. So all of these tools work together to help us to shine that light of enchantment, to live our purpose in a fuller way, and to invite others that we come in contact with day in and day out to do the same thing. Okay. Okay. Well, I always like to wrap up by asking everyone to share what their biggest takeaway is from tonight's little gathering.
I'll share.
Tracy.
So my biggest, I almost said fear, but that's not what I meant. I was really surprised by the fear one because what I wrote down was, you've listened to me for long enough.
Oh,
And because you've listened to me, I know that you will again when the time is right, but
uh-huh.
for now I'm going to let go.
Wow.
I mean, that kind of summed it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's super powerful. That part of yourself has trust, right? And that's what we're really working towards, is getting that part to trust that your adult is going to handle those things. And that when a new fear comes up, that she will be heard. That's huge. Nice. Thank you, Tracy.
I like the question, what do I want to do in this moment?
Mhm.
So often I'm like, what do I need to do next? Or what do I have to do? And I
Yeah.
love the question of what do I want to do? Because sometimes it is go take a walk or put on music or, close my eyes and just think, and then you said, ask yourself that 10 times, which I do not ask myself that 10 times currently. So
Yeah.
that's been a favorite question. So thank you.
Yeah, it is a great practice. And especially when we start to feel like we're so overloaded and working so hard, and it's just like one thing after another, a way to kind of get us out of that mindset, right? Because it's a subpersonality that it's just like we got to keep. It's the soldier, the loyal soldier. Da 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 da. What do I want to do? Maybe I just want to kick and scream for a minute. I'm not going to do it, but it's what I want to do, right? Just whatever it is. I really want to go out and slap that guy. I'm not going to do it, but right now, that is what I want. It's just waking up that thing. I want to go out and smell spring. I can do that. I can do that. I'm going to do that. Right. So we start to wake up those things that we can't Q-tip other people. Marcel. I want to Q-tip other people's ears because that's what gives me the willies. Oh, that's hilarious. Waking it up. Good job waking that up. Oh, Lynette, what about you?
Well, I am fascinated with this thought about you can choose to end your fear with enchantments. And I never realized that fear can't exist at the same time in your mind and heart as an enchantment. And I'm using that because I really get trapped in it,
Right.
So, and what Tracy said, just wow, it was a bell ringer for me, because after everything Tracy Warren has conquered and gone through in the last many, many months, for her brain to say, I think I'm okay right now. I'm good. I mean, that's a thank you for sharing that, Tracy. That blows my socks off. But it's that same sort of gives me goosebumps, because
Yeah.
it's that same kind of thing. When I was writing about the enchantments, and I kept smiling and kind of giggling to myself because my brain went right to to this time it was on one of my retreats that I know Tracy and Marcel know I do this. I don't do it enough, but I'll go off on my own, be completely unplugged, and I'll go somewhere and I do tremendous amount of writing and self-set. And it always seems to I'm good at it when I do it. But anyway, one time I was on Whidbey Island and I was staying on top of this garage, and it was just lovely, and this beautiful property, and I could walk around the front of their home, and it was this cliff. So I would sit out there in the weeds, and I'm sure they thought I was mental. I was sitting out there, and it's like they have this lovely grass, right? And it's all edged with a little bench, and then there's these flowers and weeds behind it. And I decided to carve out a little space in there to sit in the weeds on the cliff. So, but I was fascinated because I kept hearing, there was these eagles and they had a nest, these two bald eagles, and they're at eye level. And I was just, whoa, and I was taking all these pictures of them. But what got me giggling was I kept hearing this tick, 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 like a chirp, and it was so I thought it was the eagles. I thought, I didn't know that eagles chirped. What is that about? And then I look over and there's a tree there and there's a squirrel in it just announcing my presence. And I did double take and I thought, what? In my whole life, I never knew that squirrels did that little tick, 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 tick. I can't even do it. That chirpy thing. So it was, and I laughed at myself, and it was just, I was filled with wonder over this because I really thought the eagles were doing this. It was one of those really great little moments. And I thought, holy cow, I haven't thought about that in years. And that's an amazing enchantment to me. It's like watching the stars with my husband, who's an astronomer, and I've learned so much from him. It's that same whoa sort of whoa, right?
Yeah.
And so thank you for that, because I wrote about that in my little letter, and I really, and part of that permission slip for me was I give, Lynette has my permission at any moment in time to sit back and close her eyes and go there, because then all of this fear is going to go bye-bye, even if it's just for the moment, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I love that. What a great permission. And I love that you also gave yourself permission when you were feeling silly, right? Going into the weeds and thinking that the people who were there thought, what a crazy woman. And you gave yourself permission to do it anyway. Like, I don't care, I'm doing something for me that I love to do. So that is such a great example of why we do this, right? So we say, fine, you can think I'm silly, but these are the things that I know light me up, and it's actually going to be a gift to you in the long run. So I'm doing it for you too.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so much. This is a great practice to go through on a somewhat regular basis, because new fears come up, new enchantments come up. It's a great way to just listen and to tap into what's happening in your psyche on a deeper level on a more regular basis. And I'm always available for coaching, for if anything is just not going away, not making sense, and we can dive into that a little bit deeper. So thank you for being here so much, and have a great rest of your evening.